Hey everyone, Bryant Dillon from Fanbase Press, once again coming to you from San Diego Comic-Con 2022, and I have the distinct pleasure of talking with V. Castro, the author who's taking on the next prequel for the Alien franchise. This is Aliens Vasquez. V, thank you so much for talking with me today.
Oh, thank you for having me. Really appreciate it.
Let's just start with, have you been a fan of the Alien franchise, and how did that experience lead you to writing this book?
Yeah, I think, a lot of people my generation, I'm 43, we were watching films and reading things we probably should not have been into at that age. So, I remember Aliens when I was just a little girl, loving Newt, but really loving Vasquez, because as a Latina, having that representation, even though the actress is not Latina, still seeing it really made a huge impression. And even in Predator, seeing Maria Conchita Alonso in Predator 2 was absolutely just fantastic to see Latinas in those roles as opposed to domestic work or something else. So it's always stuck with me. I've always been a fan. And it just so happened I later in life started writing books, and the opportunity arose for me to give Vasquez her story before she unfortunately died in the film, but also take her legacy and a step further with future Vasquez generation.
Excellent. So for people that might be hearing about this title for the first time through this interview, what would you say the summary of sort of the plot is?
Well, basically, there's a little bit of canon on who Vasquez was, why she, went with the Marines, and I basically had this existing little tidbits of stories here and there, interviews, the tiny backstory that James Cameron wrote. And so I said, right, well, I want to create it in my experience as a Mexican American in the U.S. So I gave her backstory. How did she end up where she ended up? But obviously that's quite a short story because in the canon she was quite young when she passed away. So I have taken it to her children. So she has two children, Leticia and Ramon. One goes to Weyland-Yutani, the other is a Marine, and you just have to wait and see what happens when they get up in space. But you also see those family dynamics, that rich cultural history of Mexican Americans in the U.S. But there's a lot of nasty xenomorphs, a lot of DNA splicing, parasites. It wouldn't be an Aliens book if there weren't some hardcore battle scenes.
Definitely true. Obviously, Vasquez is a hugely popular character. Obviously, for the reasons that you've pointed out, there's the representation aspect, but she seems to also go beyond that. It seems like almost everyone is a fan comes out of the fan of Vasquez when they watch Aliens. There's something about that character, something about the way that she approaches the situation that is just charismatic or draws us to her. What do you think it is that audiences see in this character?
I think people are drawn to strength and confidence, and also someone who, she didn't give a fuck. She didn't care. Sorry.
You can swear, it's fine.
Okay. She just did not care. This is what she was doing. This was her passion, her drive, and again, she had that strength and that confidence. And in a situation where the shit's hitting the fan, you want someone who's going to take control, who knows what they're doing, who keeps their cool. And to the very end, she was blasting xenomorphs, in those tiny ducks. She had multiple weapons on her, and I think people just loved that. They loved her, just her aura, her presence, and I know that drew me to her. And you get some of that, why she's like that. And more of the attitude. You get to see her fight.
Has that.
Yes, you get to see more of her fighting when she's, kind of passing all the tests to be a colonial Marine. So, yeah, I think and the red bandana, of course.
Yes.
It's iconic.
No, yeah, a very iconic look. And you know what? I was just thinking as you were talking about this, there is a real interesting juxtaposition between her and, say, a character like Hudson. We have a character who comes on with a similar bravado,
Yes.
and we see a character where it's revealed to be just that, just bravado,
Yep.
and a character like Vasquez who essentially never quits, never gives up. Even in the face of death, she's willing to go out strong.
Yes, absolutely. And you'll see where she gets that from, because I take the story all the way back to where, in Mexican history, there were female warriors, fighters, I should say, called soldaderas. And I have that in her background. So she comes from a military family like I do. Her grandfather Serafin, uncles, who are all in the military. So she has this rich history in her blood of being a warrior, and I really wanted to show that with her. So it isn't bravado, it's who she is, it's who her family is, it's the strong generational love and support that she received until things went wrong. But so that's where it comes from. So I wanted everybody to see that.
Excellent. Another question, just off the cuff. I'm remembering, and I'm probably not remembering. You probably remember it or know it better, given your experience with the character. There is a saying that she has written on her armor in the film. I remember fans debating the translation at one point. Is this something that you can tell us more about?
Yes, I mean it translates to, I have it in the I have it. I don't want to say too much, but
Okay.
you will get where it comes
The
from.
importance of that.
You'll get the
statement.
importance of where it comes from, and basically it's about you've got to take a risk in life. If you want to live, there is risk, and it's a saying that she gets again from her family. But you need to read the book.
Excellent.
So people will debate that quote, but you'll see really where it comes from and what it means, because I don't just say it. It's not just a slogan. It's a way of life for the Vasquez clan.
I appreciate that, because it has to be important for someone to put that on their own armor. Yeah.
Exactly.
One thing that we love to do here at Fanbase Press is we have a initiative, the Stories Matter initiative, that's really focused on. Obviously, we love these genre stories, but stories in human culture serve a purpose and have since the beginning of time, or at least the beginning of human culture. They pass on values, they teach us to be able to relate to others, all sorts of things. Even if it's, whether it's your story, Aliens Vasquez specific, or the Alien franchise as a whole, what do you think, beyond the entertainment factor, what do we take away from these stories that speaks to who we are or the human condition?
Well, I think, I want to use Comic-Con as an example. The world is really going bananas. There's a lot going on to divide us, to make us be suspicious of each other, to hate each other. There's a lot of bad shit going on. However, those of us who love genre, those of us who love books, those of us who love history and storytelling, that is a really beautiful thing to unify us. And as we expand these universes, whether it's Aliens or it's Star Trek or it's folklore, urban legend, which I write, it's something that unifies us, and we can better understand each other by listening, by reading, by hearing each other's stories, because in that you find more things that make you similar. You make, that you can say, hey, God, I'm not from where you come from, but that scares the shit out of me. So let's just be unified by what scares us. What is it that, gives us all nightmares? And, I love it that we're all here unified, loving the genre. So that's what I think storytelling does, and I do in everything else I write.
It's a great point. Thank you for sharing that with us. Obviously, I don't want you to spoil the fates of the characters in this novel, but would you be interested in either revisiting characters from this novel or exploring other different parts of the Alien universe?
Yeah, I mean, it comes from Titan. I would absolutely love a Predator or an Alien versus Predator book. We'll see what happens, or even in the comic world. I do have a comic coming out soon with Chispa. Yesterday I had my Predator T-shirt on.
Okay.
But yeah, I absolutely would completely revisit any of it. And just again, I love storytelling and I love sharing where I come from, because there are a lot of new voices coming out, and I'm really honored to be a part of that wave in genre storytelling to scare
Excellent.
you.
Well, if viewers or readers are being introduced to you through this Alien novel, what other works either do you have out already or are coming out that you think that you can point them in the direction to?
Yeah, so you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at VLatinaLondon. I have a book coming out called The Haunting of Alejandra, which is about La Llorona. That can be pre-ordered with Del Rey. Urban legend and Texas urban legend and folklore, some sexy stuff, Mestiza Blood, it's a collection. Goddess of Filth, well, again, it's a possession story. So if you like The Exorcist, anything possession, but with an Aztec goddess.
Okay.
And one I love that's fun, fans of werewolves, you know, I'm Mexican American. I'd be a fine ass jaguar, not a wolf. Okay, so if you like that, you're gonna love to read about Magdalena and Maya. So those are just a few to start. Again, I just love kind of digging into folklore and different stories.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for talking with us today.
Oh, thank you for having me, and everybody take care. Thank you.